Hello and welcome to Getter Farm. So we're back with another episode of Farmville, North Carolina, and as you can see, we've got all the rest of that lettuce loaded up here in the back of the truck. We are hauling this up to town. We're gonna get rid of it all. I think Godly Devil, maybe a couple of people posted in the comments of the last video, why don't I just leave it to store so it's not sitting on the ground? And I was like, that's a great idea. And then I really thought about it and looked at the prices and came to the conclusion, why don't I just sell it as it comes? It's a 10 to 15 cent per liter difference. Like, we're not really gonna see a whole lot of difference with such low volumes that we're making. I'm not too worried about 15%, so I think I'm actually just gonna set it up to auto sell all of our lettuce here as we move forward. It's just not worth the time it takes me to haul it up here by the pallet. Even if I got a bigger truck, it's just a hassle right now. And so until we start getting more into that and maybe using the seed and fertilizer to really up our production, we're just gonna get rid of it. And so to do that is really easy. I think we can just come in here, click on lettuce, and where we've got it in distributing, which means it's gonna stay in storage until it's ready. I'm going to just change this to selling, and it should start selling it now. But that's all right. If we've got one pallet up there, we'll have lots of reasons to run back up to town here, so I'm not too worried about getting it dragged back up here. Now, we're in March here, and if I'm not mistaken, I think April is when we're going to be able to start planting our corn if we look at the calendar here. So there's not a lot left to do here in March, with the exception of, I think we need to feed our hogs. And we've got the feed truck right up here at the feed mill on the right, so we're going to be able to bring that feed that we made from all that corn we'd harvested earlier in the year and get that brought up to the farm right now. Now, unfortunately, you can see here, this field has regrown back through our landscaping again, and there's not a whole lot I'm going to be able to do with this in-game, unfortunately. This is a side effect of the fact that the Paint and Terraform Anywhere mod works great for general land areas, but unfortunately when it is a physical field that you don't own, every time the field states change with the game progressing forward, it's overwriting those changes. Unfortunate, not a lot I can do about it other than take the map into Giants Editor and make those changes there, which we'll likely need to do at some point to get around this if we want to keep this here. I really liked how we had it all set up. I liked the location of this for the feed mill on the map here. And yeah, I was just trying to have to avoid jumping into Giants Editor to do that work. I much prefer the in-game tools. It's a lot easier to use, especially for somebody not as experienced as me. But alas, we've tried and failed multiple times here, and so we're just gonna have to deal with this for this episode and see if I can come up with a better solution as we continue on with the series here. However, for the moment, let's focus on running this food up to the hog farm and getting those pigs fed. We are at 98% of the trailer here, and we pulled everything that we had out of the feed mill. So this is all the food we're going to get until fall, when we harvest the corn that we haven't yet planted. And so I'm very curious to see how full this is going to fill things up, given that we're displaying things here in cubic yards for the feed with the, not the precision farming, the unit convert mod installed. I'm not sure how that converts into the liters, which is what's displayed on the animal screens. So we'll just have to wait till we get this up to the farm and put it into the feed bins there to see how much feed we're gonna have. And we're back up here in the yard, and of course that one pallet spit out when we were switching modes there to the selling mode. That's alright, we'll take that back up ourselves here at some point. Not too worried about it. It's all of $500 of lettuce sitting out there. And here we are up at the bins. We did clean up some of our pumps and hoses stuff. I was feeling a little guilty about leaving it laying out there in the yard, And as you can see, we swapped out that smaller tractor with the ultra narrow tires there from the injector itself, put that onto the pump. I'm really hoping we can get rid of that slurry tank pump and just swap it out for a normal static pump here. I know Creative Mesh was saying in a different live stream I was watching that there was an issue in the release version here, and that they were waiting on a patch to be able to actually pump out of the animal pens. I'm not sure if that happened with the day one release here of the mod, so I'm going to have to try that out here at some point. I've just been hesitant to get rid of the equipment we have until we know that that's working, so I'll have to try that out in possibly a new save just to see if it's working before we sell off a bunch of equipment on our end. However, we've got everything lined up here for the pig food. We're going to start dumping this in. It's loading pretty quick here, and we'll jump into the animal screen here. We can see we've got the 100 younger hogs here at 2 months. They're a third of the way through puberty. We've got 23,000 liters of food right now, so not a lot, but we're doing all right. We've got a fair amount of slurry now. I think this is about as much slurry as we started with when we started spreading in the other episode. So we could probably make it about halfway through the field right now with what's up there. And then as you can see here, switching over to the older hogs, we're already halfway to more hogs. So we should expect to see some more of these in a couple of months. So next episode or day will be likely jumping into some planting here of our corn. And as soon as we're done with that, we're going to have a whole bunch more hogs getting born here, which should mean, I guess, more food getting eaten, but also more slurry getting produced. So I'm really hoping maybe here, once one more month passes, we will have enough of the food to be, or the slurry to be able to finish spreading on at least one of our foods here. We'll spread what we have regardless. And I'm just trying to figure out why this stopped overloading into this bin here. We're going to go ahead and get that started again. And there we go. We've got all of the feed moved in. And as you can see, we're up to 85,000 liters now, which should keep us going for a little while now. We're at, what, about a third of our total food capacity all filled up here, which is a nicer place to be. Gives me a little bit more confidence that we're going to make it in through the end of the year, especially given that we went quite a few months on very little feed comparatively here. And so this truck's going to go back up there to the grain mill, the feed mill, and we're going to start working on getting all set up for planting season, I suppose. All right, we have moved the clock forward here to 7:30. It is now officially April, and we're going to try and spread the rest of our slurry here before we get into planting, which means to start out with, we're going to have to drop this applicator off and go ahead and get this hose unwound. I did replace our other two pieces of hose with a single longer length hose on the reel here. I thought it'd just be a little bit easier to operate with given what we're trying to accomplish on this farm. And that way, if we do ever happen to need more hose, we can buy hoses in the lengths that I think we're going to need them. So this should be a single length of 500 length hose. And if we look here in the animal menu, you can see we've got 41,000, almost 42,000 liters of slurry that we can spread here. I'm really excited to kind of give this another attempt. I think we're going to be a lot more competent at it this time, hopefully. And so we're going to start unwinding this, and my goal is, I think, to actually, we're not going to finish this field no matter what. So I'm just trying to think about the best way to run this. I think what we're going to do is work from where we started on the field here towards the tree line. We've got the most open ground there to do that. That way we know we can leave the hose here out of the way. We're going to change to unwinding. We're going to start unwinding. I want to leave a little bit of slack down here on this end. And then I'm going to just drive this up here. And I need to do a little bit of research yet on the best way. I know you should run it down the length of the field that you're planning on running on here. And now that I'm getting down here, I'm thinking maybe we should have done this a little bit differently. I'm going to watch some videos on the best practice for how you run your hoses. Essentially, I'm treating this part of the field we've already done kind of as a grass headland area. And my intent is to get this spread out over here and then end up with the hose somewhere right down here so that we can start going down right where we left off last time. And 500 meters is maybe a little bit much for what we're doing right here. But if you consider that we're going to need to get all the way over into that other field eventually, we're probably going to end up buying more hose back and running that to do all of that. So I'm not too worried about it. I think this is actually going to work out for us really well here and give us plenty of hose to start working our way over towards the other end of this field. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave this hose reel over here, since whenever we need this stuff, I feel like we're going to be using it here at the hog farm. No sense in not leaving it over here. And I do have manual attach turned back on, which seems to be playing really nice with all of the pumps and hoses machines here, which has been very nice. And I think before we go there, I need to hop out and bring this hose right on over to this. And then if we hop into the tractor, I can do my shift Q to hook up, start up the tractor, and then I can't turn this on until it's been hooked up to the injector. I guess that makes a lot of sense. So let's go ahead and get this thing all hooked up here. We'll likely need to unfold this to make that happen. And I'm going to go ahead and just back up here, get this all attached, and then we're just going to swing right back around and hopefully get lined up here in our GPS track. And then before we can really do much here, I need to tap back over to this vehicle and turn this pump on. You can see the pressure go up here, the water starts pumping, the slurry starts moving, and I think we're good to go. So let's just see if I can align the GPS a couple feet to the left. It looks like we're just a smidge wide there, and we're off now. And applying that slurry right into the soil seems to be going rather well here. And I know somebody mentioned to me when you do the headlands here, the one thing that you should do is when you lift up, you should back up a little bit to give yourself some slack in that hose so that you can make the turn, which I thought was very interesting advice. And this is where it'll get definitely interesting here. Turning right back into the same row with this is a little bit tricky with that big hose. It's probably be easier if I was leaving a gap on my headlands that we could come back and do later. I know on the hog enclosure end here, it's a lot easier because we have that big driveway area that we can turn around on. And it looks like we're already out of slurry. And so again, this is the part with this one that is just not been a lot of fun, is the constantly having to shift back here and keep things filled up. So we will most definitely be doing the testing and looking into putting that pump in here as we move forward into future episodes. I just haven't gotten a chance to test that here yet, since Pumps and Hoses has just come out today when I'm recording this. What would be awesome is some kind of an indicator as to how full that tank is when you're remote like this. I guess in real life they probably don't have that, although I'd probably have a guy on the radio that I could talk to let me know where we're at, so it wouldn't be completely unrealistic to get that information made available to me in some way. But alas, that's not something that we have right now, unless I'm opening up the F1 menu just to make sure there isn't something hiding in there that I didn't know about. And as you can see, we're already out of slurry again. We just ripped through this so quickly. So it's the little things like that that are going to keep tripping me up, I feel like. However, we are going to town now. We've gotten quite a few passes in. And as you can see, we've made it maybe a quarter of the way through the slurry that we had here. So we'll definitely get a few more passes in here. And it always helps if you actually enable the GPS if you want it to keep you going straight. It does look like we're applying at a little bit different rates here on different passes. I'm not sure exactly what's up with that. However, we're getting the job done here. I guess maybe some passes had a little bit more nitrogen on them already. We seem to be pretty consistently applying the same bonus each pass. And so I'm going to keep ripping through this. In fact, what we'll do is I'm going to turn off GPS. I'm going to hire the hired worker because I know that works. And that's going to let me hop over here and keep this slurry refilled when I want. You can see here in the lower right-hand corner, our slurry goes down pretty quick as we're driving down that field. I still hold my position that the slurry amounts and the water amounts should be reversed in this particular setup. When we use the pump, we'll be hooking up a separate water pump to kind of keep things down, keep the maintenance in check while we pump the slurry. And really, we won't have to worry about the capacity at all because we won't be pumping into a tank. We'll just be coming straight out of the animal building. So as soon as we can get that working, that will keep things a little bit easier. But it looks like the worker is going to be able to handle using the pumps and hoses machine here just fine. I'm kind of curious to see how efficiently they choose to turn around. A little bit of backing up, it looks like. Not too shabby. Takes a minute longer than if we were going to be doing it ourselves, but this lets us kind of move around and get this other job going, so not too worried about it. We're down to 27,000 liters here left, and this guy's just going strong out here. And checking in here on worker Betty. She's going to do pretty much the same thing I did, which is pull up straight on the road ditch, although it looks like she's going to do the back and turn and cross over the hose line. No, worker Betty, no, you're gonna ruin the hoses. My goodness. It's hard to get good help these days. Alright, so we have been going on this field for just a little bit here, and we're on the final pass here along the edge of this field. And so you can see we are letting Precision Farming Auto adjust for the fact that we're overlapping here a little bit. And I think we're running pretty low on actual slurry in the hog enclosures here. We're going to have to check, though, in just a minute. We're going to clean up a couple of these scraggly bits since Precision Farming is so good about turning off those injectors when we don't need them. And with that complete, I'm going to just drag the rest of this hose down the length of the field here. And we're going to cut right on over here and I think get back in line and start doing the long rows on the other side. Now, as long as we're here and we've got a little bit of slurry, I'm going to clean this up just because it always bugs me when there's a lot of stuff laying around like that. And it looks like the resistance on the hose has actually pulled it off of the tank there and started pulling it out into the field. So that's something I didn't think could happen. Very interesting, unexpected. We're gonna have to see if we can pull that hose back here so that we can finish using up what's left of our slurry. And in order to do that, we should be able to hook onto it here with this handy tool. And I'm not sure what's gonna happen here, so I'm gonna try and pull a little bit of excess back with us. And then if we reconnect it here to the tank, I filled the tank all the way back up. We check the animal menu here just again. You can see it's at 2,500 liters. We're just about out of the slurry. And so I'm really curious. Oh, it even tells me my pump isn't running now. That's quite handy. We hop back in here. We can turn the pump on. It fills up all of the pipes here with slurry. And we're going to just go and start pulling this back down. I'm kind of curious to see if that hose is going to stay connected now for us, or if we're going to pull that loose again. I do see it getting tighter and tighter, and it just pulled off, it looks like. So let's, we're going to go ahead and grab that. I wish there was a way I could, like, grab the hose in the middle here, but I just don't see a way to do that. We've definitely run into, this is not a bug. I'm almost positive this is working as designed, if I had to guess. And so we've just got this hose spread out so far that it's got a lot of drag on the ground, and when that drag becomes too much, well, it just kind of pulls on the hose here and pops out. And so what I'm going to do is pull this hose a lot farther than we need the other way here. And then if it does start to pull again, we've got plenty of slack here while it adjusts. Maybe not the most realistic way to deal with this problem. I'm really not sure how you would deal with that. You probably don't want the hoses crossing on top of each other either like that. Too much in real life. Things could get tangled up, I'm guessing. Got the pump running now, and it looks like we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and just kick that worker right back off. I'll let him go to town here. We've got at least a couple passes on these long rows, though, that we're going to be able to knock out here, assuming that we've got the slurry to keep up. And once again, this is already getting pulled all around. I'm just amazed that we went through all of that slack already here. We're going to go ahead and just reconnect this thing one more time. Hopefully this doesn't continue to be a problem. We're going to get the tank fired off. I've got the worker. I couldn't start the worker because the pump wasn't going. So now we will once again start the worker. And I'll tab back over here and we'll try and keep an eye on it. You can see this hose is just getting pulled right out here as it goes. And the hose is even separating there, which is quite interesting. And snap, just like that. We're pulling the hose off again. This is getting to be a little bit interesting. I don't quite know the best way to solve this problem. So we've once again tried to pull a lot of slack out of that hose and get this thing going again. I really don't think it likes that we've got everything kind of looped up here. And you can see it's just pulling this hose off repeatedly, no matter where we put it, because it's kind of just pulling it straight. It's not really trying to reposition that other hose. I do wish that the AI worker would pick a more logical, like if he's going to do the back up the other way so the hose isn't underneath the injectors. But alas, that's hired workers in Farm Sim for you. And now that we're coming back down the field this way, it does seem like we've got things in a better spot. The hose doesn't seem to be disconnecting on us. So I think we're probably good to go. If I jump back over here and try to refill, we're officially empty. We've pumped all the slurry here out of the hog pen. So this pump is about to get empty. And we're going to be completely done with applying this slurry to the field. However, as we can see, we got most of this field done. I didn't think we'd get this far. So the fact that we got this far is actually quite impressive. So we're going to go ahead and just drop this hose off and put this equipment away. We're going to call this a job well done today. Some minor issues. I think next time we're definitely going to have to do a better job of rerunning our hose when we switch sides of the field or something like that to make sure that it's set up in a much better way. I'm pretty sure it was coming unhooked there because of the fact that we didn't lay it out very well when we switched to the other end of the field. We had that hose kind of all over the place. Since we are done, we've got no more slurry. We probably won't have any chance to apply more slurry until we get into the post-harvest fall months here again. We might as well hook all this stuff up and get this hose all wound up again. And I think this is probably going to be the perfect time to actually sell off this trailer as well. So we're going to pull this on up here into the yard. We'll be getting rid of this setup and switching this out for a pump by the time we get back into fall. I have to believe that the pumps are going to be set up and working here if they aren't already. So we're going to gamble on that. We're going to get that equipment out of our way and be good to go. And here we're going to go ahead and wind this up. So I'm going to change it to winding. We're going to start winding, and I don't think I actually have to drive anywhere to wind this up. I think we can just sit here and it'll do its thing. I am going to turn around so it's a little bit more logical for the way that it's winding things up here on us. That should work much better. And if we check here, our food is great. We're about to get another 100 pigs, which is really exciting. And if we look at the precision farming map here for our nitrogen, it's a little bit ugly. However, we got some pretty decent nitrogen spread here, which means when we come and start putting our corn in with the fertilizer with the planter, that should look a lot better. Now, last time I did math, 10 plus 10 plus 10 is 30, 40, plus 2 5s is 50. I don't know where I'm getting an environmental score of 54 when this adds up to, 10, 20, 35, 40, 50. We're missing some points here. Somewhere the score doesn't add up. Well, I guess I went to a different school. I will say it takes a minute to roll up this umbilical hose. I was not expecting it to take quite this long, but I guess it is 500 meters, so that's a fair amount of hose. And we are done wrapping up that hose, and you can just see in the upper right hand corner the $109,000 for selling off that tank. We will definitely be replacing that with a pump here. I'm going to wait until I make sure those are working and I figure out what the benefit really is. How much maintenance cost are we really reducing here by having the water pump? I will probably set that up again just for the fun of it, but that will dictate what equipment we buy to replace that trailer with. However, no matter what we do, we're going to save some money on that. And so until we're ready to make that particular purchase, I think it's only responsible to come in here and repay down some of this loan that we've got from the bank. If we get to a point later in the year and we need some money, we can always head back on up here and extend our loan again. But we are still now carrying an $80,000 loan on the equipment that we have purchased, which isn't too bad. That selling that lettuce off helped out a bit. And don't forget, we're cranking on hogs now. We're probably not going to sell them for a little bit. We want to get as many going in here as we can support food-wise. And so when it starts to look like we're going to run low on food, I'll probably think about selling some off. But until then, we're going to keep growing out the hogs. And next episode, we're going to get into planting some corn. I'm looking forward to it. We've got the nice fancy Case IH planter in here that I haven't had a chance to try out, so can't wait to give that a shot. We are going to need to pick up some seed and some liquid fertilizer to run that thing, I believe. So that'll be next episode. That's all for today. Ketterk out. But that's all right. We'll deal with that if that did indeed get dumped out. My goodness. Not only did he cut us off, now we're stuck. Oh, there we go. If we look at the calendar here, next month we're gonna... Oops.